So, we just watched a movie yesterday
Yes.
that changed our life.
I wouldn't say that it changed our lives, but I feel like it was a really great movie.
Eternity.
Yes. So we went to AMC, which is not our typical theater, but we went there last night and we watched Eternity. I'll start with the beginning because my poor honey had to go and we were trying to order food and then the app wasn't working, so he missed like a good 5-7 minutes of the beginning. So it starts with a couple. It's Joan and Larry, right? It's Joan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're older couple, and they're in the car just driving, and they're bickering. They're going back and forth, and they're bickering about whatever, just like going back and forth. And then she laughs a little bit. She's like, just relax, it's all gonna be fun. They're going to a gender reveal for one of their kids, for their grandkid. And Larry says something about that people have been known to die at these gender reveals, and Joan is like, we're going to a gender reveal, what are you talking about? So we find out when they get there that Joan is actually really sick, and she doesn't want to tell her family because obviously she doesn't want to bring them pain. She's mom and grandma, so she doesn't want to tell the family. But then we find out in the beginning of the scene that Joan had a previous husband, Luke. Because one of the grandkids puts up a picture, and it's of Joan and her first husband who died in the war. And at that same moment, like, Larry eats a pretzel and he chokes on it and dies. which is kind of funny to say, but he dies, right? So, and then you see him on a train, and he's going to the afterlife. So he finds out everything about the afterlife, pretty much. He finds out what it's all about, how it works, and he has an AC, afterlife coordinator, which is so funny. There's a lot of funny parts in this movie. So even though it revolves around death, it's still really funny and just cute, right? So he starts learning about the different eternities, and the way that it works is you pick an eternity, but you have to be there for literally eternity. Like, you can't leave or get out of it or switch eternities. Once you pick an eternity, that's it. So he doesn't know it in the moment, but Larry meets Luke, Joan's first husband. He's actually a bartender in the movie, in the afterlife station.
What that means, sorry to cut you off. What that means is that Luke never chose an eternity.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Because he was waiting on
Joan.
Yeah.
So he waited for Joan for 65 plus years.
67 to be exact.
Yeah.
Because he mentions that often.
Yeah, he does.
Do you wanna stop here because it's getting noisy, or do you want to keep going?
With the mics, it should be okay.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, go ahead.
So Larry's trying to get the lay of the land, and he's trying to figure out what he's gonna do, where he's going to go. Like, he doesn't know what to do or what to decide. His AC, which is Anna?
Yeah.
Tells him, it's better for him to just choose and to just know that his family members are going to be in an eternity, living their best life, because who knows if Joan's going to be, I don't know.
Good. Babe.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I thought that car was coming. Who knows if Joan's going to be a few years or a few days. I mean, who knows? Like, he could be waiting forever. But it just so happens that Joan had terminal cancer. And this is the interesting part of the movie. Larry actually chooses an eternity before he knows that Joan passed away. So he's on his way to his eternity, and he sees Joan going up the escalator. And he's like, Joan, Joan, Joan. And they meet each other because Joan unfortunately passed away, and she's now in this afterlife train station thing. And so it's funny because Larry's AC, or afterlife coordinator, is like, what's happening? And he's like, it's Joan. And then Joan's AC, afterlife coordinator, comes and is like really excited to see her, and we don't really get why in the moment. But then we quickly find out that it's because he knows about Luke. So he brings Luke and presents him to Joan, and Joan's like, oh my gosh, this is my first husband. And Larry's like, what's going on? This is the bartender that gave me a drink last night. And Joan's like she's in disbelief. Like, she's like, I'm sure analyzing his face and taking it all in, because this is her first love. Mm-hmm. You know, she lost him after 2 years of marriage, I think, or a year of marriage. They were together for a short time, but it was like her first love. Mm-hmm. And he died in such a tragic way in the war, which he tells you throughout the whole movie that he died in the war.
Yeah. And so, to sum it all up, because I don't know if we can do like spoilers or not of what ends up happening.
Well, this is a spoiler.
Okay,
like,
so
it's a whole spoiler.
So spoiler for the whole movie, but to sum it up, there is a struggle between the first love of her life, where she feels she was so happy. You know, how do you choose between two people? One that her first husband, who waited on her 67 years, you know, every day to come back to him, versus somebody who she built a life with for 67 or 65 years. Yeah, 65 years. It becomes sort of like an impossible decision, right? Because
impossible for Joan, for sure.
Yeah, because both warrant her being selected for different reasons. For Jake, like, it's not his fault he went to the war and died. You know, they could have built a life together.
For who?
For Jake.
Luke.
What's that, Jake? Joan and Jake. Joan and Jake. For Luke. That would have been the name of their baby.
You're thinking about the book where also.
Yeah. So, masked in all of the comedy, this movie actually is very deep when it comes to the concept of what love really is. What is love? What is love? What constitutes deserving love? You know, like, mm-hmm. How do you know that you are worthy of another person's
eternity?
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
You know?
And this movie covers all of that. So what ends up happening...
Wait. You're skipping ahead.
No, because I want to get like into the conceptual of it, you know, more than the actual story. But yeah, we got to tell them the story.
Let's go back.
Yeah.
You got to do the sound effect. So they're sitting in the lobby. It's Joan, Larry, Luke, and the two ACs. And Joan is just like, what am I gonna do? And that's where everything starts, right? Where Joan is like, how am I gonna make this impossible decision? Like, in one hand, I have this man who I've loved for 67 years. He passed away. I only had a short time with him. And two, I have this man who I built a life with, have kids, grandkids, mortgage, all of this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So we go through the movie, and they end up bending the rules for Joan. And you know how I said earlier, when you pick an eternity, you can't leave that eternity. You have to stay there for forever, for eternity. But they bend the rules for Joan, where she can have a date with each of them and whatever eternity they choose, right? So she finds out a lot in these 2 dates, and she ends up deciding that she's gonna pick neither of them, okay? One of her friends actually ends up passing away and meets her in this like afterlife. I think we should keep going, babe.
Okay.
And finish the video and then come back and then do the... Man, I lost my train of thought.
Well, she ends up with her friend.
Oh yeah, so they decide that they're gonna go to this eternity Paris place.
Her friend is another older woman that she knew.
Passed away.
Yeah.
But then we go into the questions that Max was asking, right? And there was one moment in the movie where I just like, I broke down and I like, tears were just coming down my face because I'm like, that's love. That is truly love. And the moment where Joan is leaving to her eternity and not picking either one of her loves, she's on the train, and Larry, the man that she spent 65 years of her life with, is running through the station. And you think as the viewer, oh, he's gonna profess his love to her. He's gonna try to win her over and this is gonna be it.
And even her, she was like, Larry, it's too late. Like, I've decided. Please don't try to make this, weird.
And he says to her, your hair is long. So when you go into the afterlife, you go into afterlife in the form that you were the happiest. Whether that means you were a kid or whatever age in your life you were the happiest, that's how you present in the afterlife. So when Joan comes into the afterlife, her hair is long. And Larry tells her, look, your hair is long. You were the happiest when you were with Luke.
Because her hair was always short with Larry.
Yeah.
And he was like, it looks good on you. Yeah.
And it looks good on you. And you should be at your happiest with the person that makes you the happiest. And Larry says, and that will make me happy because what makes you happy makes me happy.
And she there's a little resistance there, but he was like, it only works if you're happy though. And so.
And y'all, I just lost it because I was like, I totally related with Larry in that moment because that's how I live my life. I'm very much like that. What makes Max happy, what makes our kid happy, that's when I'm the happiest, So oh my gosh.
Yeah, we might mess around and cry in this video because there's a lot. This movie is so deep.
And I was like, Larry, you're the man. So then Joan, then Larry just walks away. He walks away and we don't know what happens to him in that moment of the movie. But she goes to goes to Luke, her first love, that she didn't get to have a life with. And they go to the eternity, to the mountains, which she's always loved the mountains. So they choose that eternity and they start living their life. Mm-hmm. They start living their life and, they dance, they talk, they laugh, they kiss, they make love. They do all of these things that they didn't get to do for all of these years, right? And slowly but surely, Joan starts missing something. Mm-hmm. She starts feeling a void, right? So and
also because I'll be interjecting,
Okay. Mm-hmm,
and also she starts witnessing the long-term effects of her partner, which she probably didn't get to witness in 1 or 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
Like he's very social and she's like, I just want to like, if I hang out with another person, I'm going to like die, like I don't like it. And so those long-term effects of a partner that you don't initially, get when you're months in, a year in, that you don't know. Janie and I have discovered stuff about each other in year 12 of our 16-year relationship, those layers of the onion start getting peeled of who this person truly is. Mm-hmm. And so remember, she only had a couple of years with homeboy, as opposed to Larry where it was 65. You know who that person is. Go ahead, baby, keep going.
So there's one scene where she wakes up at night and I could just feel her missing something. She just sits in the bed. And the cool thing about each eternity, once you pick an eternity, you get to go to this like theater and it's called the archives. And you get to go and see your life.
It's scenes of your life.
Yeah, whatever memories, you get to see that. So Joan starts going every day and she starts seeing her past life with Larry. And she, even like the funny, the good, the annoying, the bickering,
the chaotic
everything,
parts. Baby crying and you're in the middle of the night and y'all are tired,
She starts seeing all of it and she's missing it immensely. And she, you know, after some time, she tells Luke, geez, this is going to be the hard part during this whole video. She tells Luke, like, I can't do this anymore.
I made a mistake.
I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? Like, you know, you can't leave an eternity. You can't leave one, because if you do, then if you go through a red door, then they throw you in the void. And the void is just, it's not like heaven or hell or anything like that. The void is just darkness.
I think you're skipping a major part of
Oh,
that
go
scene,
ahead,
though.
go ahead,
That
yeah.
scene was probably the
Oh, no. Yes, you're right. But
where she confesses she made a mistake.
Yes.
She explains to him why. Now, she had been going into the archive more and more as time progressed, because she was just needing to feel and experience the memories that her and Larry made in their lifetime.
Tell me why, babe. Tell me why.
What do you mean?
Tell me why. Why she tell him, like, the why?
So she was like, she was explaining to him why she made a mistake. And this is the scene that hit me the most out of the whole movie. And
Me
this is
too.
what I enjoyed most about this movie.
Me too.
That scene. Because she was like, of course she was happiest in that form when she was with her first husband. But that was like the endorphins of young love, you know? Not the endorphins, the I don't know what the word is. The ecstaticness, the
serotonin.
the adrenaline, yeah. I don't know if endorphins was the word, but like all of that bottled up, that's like young spark love, right? That's love that like, oh my gosh, it's glamorous. But for me and for her in the movie, like, love is like figuring out how you're gonna pay the mortgage together. Love is raising a child together through the good and the bad. Love is seeing Janie at her ugliest and Janie seeing me at my ugliest, you know, and still working through it, because love is struggle, love is sacrifice. Love is the amazing parts of life together, and love is the lowest of the lows together. Mm-hmm. When you can go through all of that with your significant other and still come out on top and prevail through the good and the bad, to me, that's love. It's easy to fall in love with Janie year number one. We don't know we didn't know our struggles. We didn't know our deep dark secrets, you know? Like, all we saw was the facade and the good parts about us that we only chose to present. It's not until you get deep in the trenches with another individual that you have to pull each other out of darkness. You have to stabilize somebody when they're falling. That's the epitome of what love is. That's what she shared with Larry.
Luke.
No.
Oh no,
Larry.
she shared with yeah.
That's what she shared with Larry. The pitfalls of life. Together they struggled. Together they prevailed. They overcame. The bickering in the car. That's love. Like, that's love.
It really
you
is,
know?
though.
Getting on each other's nerves and being like, you know what? I don't want to get on anybody else's nerves but that person. That's love, to me. And to her in the movie, that's what they were trying to express. And I think she kind of fell into the trap of the glamour of that first year or so of, you know, because of course that's when she was at her happiest. Everything was perfect, you know? They didn't have time to get there, you know, to get to everything else. That comes with love.
Luke's fault or Joan's fault.
Yeah.
It's just what happened. You know, he ended up passing away, and they could have had maybe a very beautiful love story, or maybe not. You know, we'll never know, because that's just what life does sometimes. You know, it throws you curveballs, and then that's when Larry came, and Larry ended up being the most beautiful curveball for her. At a time where she was completely devastated. She lost the love of her life. She found Larry, and she built this beautiful life with him. And yeah, it was just, so she ends up, and Luke tells her, if you leave, they're gonna throw you in the void. And she's like, I have to try. I have to try, and I have to find,
Run it.
I have to find Larry. I have to try, and I have to go for it. So at the end, Luke leaves, you know, because he's devastated. he waited 65 years for her to say being with him was a mistake, which is so heartbreaking too. Like thinking about Luke, that was pretty sad. But I mean, it was just the name of the game, I guess. So she they separate, and then Luke comes back because Joan is trying to come up with this whole idea of how she's gonna take the keys from the guy who's in charge of the archives, and he's like, I'll help you, I'll make a distraction for you.
She's like, I can't believe I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna help you.
Yeah. So he ends up getting the keys. She goes in through the archives, and they say goodbye to each other. And even Joan like told him, I love you. Like, I'll always love you, but it's just different. It's a different kind of love. So they say their goodbyes, which is actually made me tear up too, because I know that Luke loved her for a long time, and Joan loved him, It was this love that they both shared that was beautiful, but it was just cut short, and that's unfortunate, So she goes through the back alleyways of trying to find Larry, and, she makes it. I don't know how she makes it. She makes it like through all this mess, and like I wouldn't say they're police officers, but I guess the afterlife officers. The guards, they try to get her because she's going to be thrown in the void, right? So she makes it to the junction, or the afterlife train station, and she finds the two ACs, the guy that was helping her, Ryan, and then Larry's AC, Anna.
Your mom's calling. Do you want to pause?
Huh? No. Because we're almost done.
So she finds the two ACs?
Yeah, she finds the two ACs. And the girl's like ecstatic, right? Because she was like, yes!
Because she knows what's going on right now. Yeah.
I knew you were going to I'd be with Larry. And then Ryan was always rooting for Luke. And she was like, I'm sorry. I just always thought that it would be beautiful for you to be with Luke. So they help her. And they tell her where Larry is. And Larry ends up being the bartender, guys. He never left.
He never chose an eternity for himself.
He never chose an eternity. He decided to stay because I guess in his mind there would be no eternity without Joan, even though originally he had chosen an eternity. And I want to look back into that. I think that he chose an eternity, and he said it several times. I wanted to start building our eternity. So I want to get there first, make things perfect for Joan, and he wrote a letter for her and everything. So I think that was his plan, but once he knew that he wasn't going to have Joan, he just stayed behind. He stayed as a bartender. So he sees that it's her, and he turns around and they talk. And she was, I don't even remember what she said. Do you remember?
No.
All I know is that at the end, she was like, I found a place. Like, I found a place where we can go. He said, they're gonna throw you in the void. She's like, I think I found a place. Or she says something along the lines as, I think I found a place. And there's like a pause because I think she's just waiting to see what he says. And he says, when are we leaving? So she ends up finding, so in the movie, there's like these eternities that you can go to, and then there's these old eternities that they don't like promote anymore. So she ended up finding just like a regular schmegular eternity, looked like a neighborhood.
Much like this one.
Much like this one, yeah. And then you just see them holding hands, walking through the street together. And I don't know, it was just such a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
I think the concept of the afterlife that they presented, I just hope that it's like that. I think Max knows that as cheesy and as corny as it sounds, if I were to go first, I would wait for him for us to pick our eternity together.
I feel like you already have. You waited for me, and I've waited for you. Like multiple generations before.
Max and I talk about this all the time. We've done this before in another life. Like we've lived lives together. We have this conversation all the time, and that's for another video. But yeah, it's beautiful to know that what I've been so fortunate enough to live with you, babe, and our love is not perfect. It's not new. It's not like giddy, even though sometimes it's still giddy, you know? We've been through so much, and that love is the type of love that will always win.
That will always, I think our love, it will always sustain, because we know how to, we've just learned, or we've evolved together.
Yeah.
You know? Some people evolve apart, some people evolve together. And we've managed to be one of the lucky ones who we found our person, and we've been able to weather the storms and enjoy the sunshines, all of them, you know?
Yeah.
And we're fortunate, we're very fortunate. And a movie like this, it kind of just solidifies what I already know, you know, like my person that I'll wait for eternity for. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story, and it resonated because I have my Joan, you know?
Right. I was going to say it hits home. So I just loved it. I really did. And
so what's your number then?
so man, it's so tough for me to rate movies because I love all movies. And I think that's why these videos are going to be a lot of fun, the more that we do them. And we've done them in the past. Yeah. But I'm such a sucker, y'all. I'm going to give this one. Nobody's going to believe my ratings anymore. They're going to be like, Janie, you're so, what? I'm going to be realistic and give this movie an 8.5.
Oh, I give it an 8. I give it an 8.
I give it an 8.5. I really wanted to give it a 9, but I mean, there's some movies that are like 9.5s that I wouldn't be able to justify, you know, the 9. So I'll give it an 8.5. But it was really, really good. I highly, highly recommend just watching it.
It's a good story. It's funny too.
It's funny, yeah. It has some funny parts. There was actually this guy